Okay, let's see how far they can go. 647, there's significant sellers. So 646 is okay. Now you have level resistance, like resistance from the chart, and sellers at 47. So I would scalp calls. If you bought calls, scalp them. If you were in calls and losing, exit. Okay, sorry, I just saw your comments. The options suggest a lot of sellers anticipating to be at 647, and the buyers at 645 are there. So the battle is narrowing. You remember how I said we switch a couple times a day? Okay, we have had a trend day so far. We opened up and we trended lower and we saw it coming. Let's see if they start growing this green triangle versus the red one. The red one exists at 647 or higher, so I'll put it here. The green one, size wise, is a shrimp compared to everything else. 646 is the easiest place to be right now. If I want to give you numbers for you to, 645 is 72. That's where it's easy to be. And 646 is 200. That's pressure. And 644 is 100. That's pressure. So now they shifted from 46 to 45. So I said scalp the calls. Okay, don't buy puts. It's not easy to fall, but it's easier to fall than the rally. Okay, the sellers are still, the wind is blowing from the top much stronger than the wind from the bottom. And the puts, the highest put transacted on the SPX, I mentioned it, is 64.50. Well, the one I thought was important, this morning, they changed their mind quite a few times. There was a lot of attention at 64.35. I said, don't look at that, look at 50. Okay, so if I look around for leadership, we lost all the leaderships. I don't see any leaders anymore. They all reverted, including the small caps. They made a lower low, Mert. Climber. So, no, Wolf. Remember I said 23.70 or 65, they went to 68. They made a lower low. That's monster move, monster. The rally was monster and the drop was monster. This market is gangster. So, but luckily we have not been too much surprised by what's going on. Look at that, 64.60. Oh, look at this market maker. Oh, if you sold this triangle on Tuesday morning based on my white box, woo, or the straddle. Look at it. They're in the middle. Dang. Good job, market makers. Sorry. Oh, we're on Twitter. We should be. Someone go verify. Let me see. I'll give you a link. One moment. Can you verify that this stream is working? Please and thank you. And if it is, you can interact with me over there. Buyers, 644 is the easiest place to be. Don't buy a call. Okay, awesome. I had to make sure my camera's off. Nobody wants to see a 5 o'clock Nick. Or what time is it? 8. Pressure, 644 SPY is the easiest place to be right now. Sellers at 45 are massive. Buyers at 43 are 1/3 the size of the sellers at 45. So if it's anything, riding puts works better than call. But I wouldn't start puts here. You look left, there's supports. Okay, good question there. Where is your sold call on the Qs? 570? Yes, then you should defend those, yes. You should buy 1/3 of the defense. Maybe you should also sell some credit put spreads to balance it out, even shorter term. Microsoft puts, even after this whole drop, woo-wee. So earlier I said I closed my protective calls for 170% win and or 152%, something like that. Anyway, I closed them. I locked the profits and I said I would rebuy when for next week. I don't have an emergency to rebuy because I bought the calls to protect against the headline, and they did their job perfectly. I would rebuy if my portfolio needs it. So if I'm short and I have still something that needs protection, I should rebuy here. I shouldn't wait. Um, Depends on the situation. When in doubt, do a little. So if you're not sure and you had bought 3 calls and you closed them and you want to buy them now, or if you came at me before the market opened, should you buy calls at the open? I said no, wait for a dip. This is your opportunity. If you're still hesitant, at least do half of what you wanted or 1/3. So if you were planning on buying 5 calls to protect yourself, buy 2 and do it for the end of next week so that you're not so time sensitive. Okay, options data. 644 is the easy spot to be. I wonder if I can do emojis in here. Is there an emoji for a magnet? There is. Oh, outstanding. What does it look like? Hey, that works. The magnet is at 644. Buy calls in the SPX. No. That's expensive. If you have a credit call spread in the SPX for October, I would not buy calls for today. And if I do decide to buy calls, I would use the SPY. More forgiving. In fact, I would make it like a call diagonal. The VIX is at 17 or 16.7. I'm sorry. VIX futures are up there. Hardly an area of concern. It's still $2, $3 almost. Yeah, $3 exactly away from its mathematical lifetime average. What? Yes, $3 away from its average. If you have time to go to Twitter and make a presence there so we can get viral, that'd be amazing. So how come I don't see all of my own posts? I'm sure I posted about the SPX range yesterday. I don't see it here. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Today they were transacting 65 Is the feed still up on Twitter? Please let me know. Okay, I'll work on it then. I don't know how to work on it, but I will. It's back. All right, good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Momentarily disrupted. Had an Elmer Fudd moment there. Uppity. That's all, folks. What is going on here? Okay, options. 644, still easiest place to be. So not easy to buy a put here, but definitely easier than to buy a call. If you do buy a call, these two green arrows, in case you don't know, they were targets from yesterday. They finally give us both. I'm going to delete them. They were as visual representation. So the buyers at 643 are 100, okay? Just to give you the pressure point, 100. The sellers at 645, 5 here, I'm not going to put it there, are way more than 100, 4 to 5 times larger. And the easiest place to be is at 644 for now. And so the question is, do they want to shift that to 43? We have been walking down into a moving average, walking down into a level of support on the left, if you look left, walking down into this green box right here. This was a cryptic tweet from a week ago, maybe more. So a potential pivot point, sell a credit put spread here. I wouldn't, but yes, that's the knee-jerk reaction. But if you won and you had a good day, the last thing you need is to get cute to make $50 and ruin your day. So it is doable. If you already won with a credit call spread, I would not do a credit put spread. It is doable. If you want, I can give you one. And this is if you're on Twitter, I don't take responsibility for your potential losses from the credit put spread. So I'm answering somebody specifically here that knows what they're doing with their money. So you're not going to believe this. 63.95 is too small, but 6,400. So 6,400 will get you 60. 6,400. there should be, wow. Um, we have a lot of upside pressure now from puts. So if you want, Bill, sell it at higher than 6,400, 6,405 or 10, and collect like $100 and stop out if it doesn't work. Like buying a call without buying a call. Okay, 64 is slightly easier to be at than 643 and 44. So the magnet is somewhere between 43 and 44. And this guy is shrinking and retreating. So we still have a trend day. So they're not respecting supports yet, not obviously. So we will monitor the size of this versus that to say, okay, they might want to take back $2 to $3 because in the end, they don't want to pay out put buyers either. So we have a mile of puts buried. But for 2 days, we had a mile of calls buried because we had 3 strong closes in a row. The first one was not damaging to the call sellers. The last 2, yesterday's, was very painful to the call sellers. So they're getting their money back. This morning, we talked about defense, and somebody said, which calls should I buy on the VIX? And I said, October, November. I said I would go with November. And the idea was that the November calls would have a little bit more time on the clock, and they are now $540. Oh, we're winning on the CVX? Man, you're so embarrassing. I'm going to crash out of Edge. Edge might be interfering with EV Mux because Edge and Chrome work in the same way. So, Sam, are you in here? I'm going to need your help keeping in touch with Traditix data. We don't actually need it, but we wouldn't mind having it. Where is Edge? There it is. Microsoft Edge. I have 3 windows open. It needs 17 services running. What? Okay, 45 is the easy spot to be. So if I had calls, I would be scalping into 45. 46 is still a heavy seller waiting right there. So also you're hitting the Powell area and you're hitting this green cryptic tweet area. So this area has been reactive for the last week and a half, maybe. The Powell thing is from 822. And I thought that the whole zone would be supportive, and it hasn't acted as support, but here it is acting as support right now. 645 is easy to be here. 646 is available, but you have sellers. 644, you have buyers, almost equal as the 645. 643, I apologize. So this green triangle and the red one are almost equal size. This is the making of a switch. I'm seeing building of put buyers. like not put buyers, upside pressure from the put transactions. So maybe they're deciding to switch up. If you're holding a call and waiting for that switch to happen, that's fine. But if you're scalping calls and puts, I would exit the call and rebuy it on the dip, and you would be accomplishing the same thing at the risk of missing out on some upside. Okay, Corey, thanks. Twitter people, I'm not monitoring the Twitter. I guess I should. All right. What are we trading? Who's doing what? Should I buy defensive? We already did that. Did I miss any comments? People who are watching on Twitter or outside of our live room, you should know we have a live room with 170 people in here, give or take. And so I'm answering questions live. Okay, Lucy, welcome back, by the way. Let me scroll back up and see your question. What are your thoughts on credit put spread for today? Okay, I don't mind it. I just discussed it with Bill. I don't mind it, but this is Friday, and it's been an unbelievable day yet so far. And the sellers are more prevalent than the buyers today. So the things you see on my chart, you've been away. So let me explain to you some new things we were adding. The magnet is where the least amount of pressure, where price wants to be, and it's easy to be. Right now, that magnet is at 645. Okay. This represents the potential wind blowing from the top, making it harder to rally. This represents the potential support, wind blowing from the bottom, upside pressure and downside pressure. So you can see this is smaller than that by a long shot today. And so it's easier to be here or drift lower if at all. It's not easy to rally. So that keeps us from buying calls. Like we said those words just before they broke apart. And I said, I would not buy calls. Somebody said, expect a bounce. I said, I would not buy calls. And if you do, you have only a short runway like this. So from here, you have a short runway. All these comments have nothing to do with the chart. These comments are based on what I'm seeing, my interpretation of the price action in the options chain today for the SPY. It's been zero faults. It has never failed. 2 days ago, I failed to look at it while I was giving us options data on the earnings in the last minutes of the day, and I didn't see the turn come, and then they bounced like a bat out of hell. Okay, so that's what we're watching here. They're trying to make the turn. They have buyers now. So now we have solid buyers into 640, right? But they weren't there earlier. So now they're establishing buyers. 645 is now growing in size, so it's starting to be repellent. They want to go off of 645. And they look up, they have 220 resellers, and okay, so this is starting to grow. So this might be the bottom before a small run up. And the sellers at 646 are still there. So tight fight doesn't justify buying calls or puts. Now, you can take calls and puts based on charts. So you can say, Nick, I trade harmonics, and I'm looking at a 5-minute harmonic that it should get me to, and you stay level. Like I see a harmonic on the 5-minute levels, a 30-minute chart, and we just hit two targets. So maybe I say, all right, so that's enough for me. I also see a bearish wolf wave that says we might go to 642.50 in the next 20 minutes. So that would probably get me into a put. So if somebody sees that, and I am seeing that, a small dip to 644 or a bigger dip to 642.50. So I would say to Lucy, maybe you want to hold off 10 minutes on that credit put spread to see how that plays out. Somebody else might say, I might want to buy a put for that. And if you've had a good, that's a trade setup. It's a 30-second wolf wave, so it's a super fast trade. It's counterintuitive. We've fallen so much already. Should I wait for the AVGO credit call spread? Oh, the Iron Condor? Okay, oof, that's a tough one. Let me double check on it. I don't remember it by heart. $332.5. Is that the one you have? Right. 332.5. Okay. AVGO is only up 9%. What a loser. So maximum loss, you book your loss of $150, and then you decide to do an Iron Condor for next week to try to get you $150. So you get a $75 credit call spread and a $75 credit put spread. Or you can roll it to next week. And I don't know how much it will be. Let me see if I can give you a quick quote on that one. I don't know. Price it out. I'm not getting a price. What is next week? The 12th. Why aren't I not getting a price? You can roll it until next week. Maybe they don't have the same type of setup for next week mathematically. If you're actively trading, you should know that the longer it stays with a 0 DTE above your setup, the more money you're going to lose just from time ticking. So it's an iffy proposition to hold on to it. If you want to be safe, you should roll it sooner rather than later. So in the next hour, decide to roll it. IWM should call wall. Yeah, IWM, I don't trust anything, Corey, today. So the RTY goes from wherever it was overnight down to 2368, up to 2413, down to 2363, 4, something like that. So the IWM has done enough. So this is the setup for the. I should delete this. For the put trade, I still think it's easier to drop a little bit here. Target 1. I'm going to break it up and target 2. So the two targets of said W actually point to much lower prices to these guys did not shrink. So the calls are not easy to buy here. 645, 646 is now the magnet area. So it's easiest to be here, which says nothing other than what we're seeing, but very hard to go through 47, half as hard to go through 45. That's what I'm seeing. It's twice as easy to get through 45 than 47. I mean 645 and 647. It's a dynamic situation, and I'm going dizzy looking at these numbers, but this is where the money is made, right? If you focus and you have inside information. Okay, so now if that because we are below 646, they're in danger of establishing it as resistance. So they need a pop to 646 quickly. So look around with what's okay, I don't know what's going on today with the internet connection here. Is it the internet? Is it the platform? Let's do a speed test real quick. It is not the internet. It's TradingView. I have a gigabyte. Okay, we're stalled. 646 is the easy spot to be, so I'll leave the magnet where it is. 47 and 45 are of equal strength. So now we really have a face-off. It can go either way. It is no longer easier to fall. It's just as easy to fall to 45 or 47. 48, much harder than 44 if you want backup. So we can come up if the charts stay up. So this red W that we're with the two green arrows breaks apart at 646.8. So as you approach the yellow box, what is this yellow box? Nothing? Oh, I know what that is. That was an interesting candle from yesterday. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to move one of these down to here. 646 is the magnet. And so we want to stay at 646. It is now harder to fall than the rally by a little bit. So maybe now we're deciding we want to trend higher. And that would make sense because there's a lot of buried puts, and the put sellers, the market makers, want their money back. So let's see if they have the willpower to go to 48 and 49. Right now, 47 is hard. 48 is twice as hard. And 45 is decent support. So they have a small platform to work on calls. If you're holding calls, I don't blame you. You can. So Nick, what's with the two arrows? Those two arrows are based on the chart, not options. We're trying to keep a good balance between trading the chart with options information. Sometimes you get a trade based on the options information. Sometimes you get a trade based on the charts, as long as the options information doesn't say otherwise. And in this case, if you're holding calls, the options information doesn't say otherwise. Earlier it did. If you're holding puts, the options information says it's not going to happen easily. So if you want to give up on those puts for a 15% loss, that's fine with me, or a 20% loss. If you get dips and you recover your money, exit. If you sold a put spread, kudos. Add to your profits. We've had an incredible day. This morning, you guys were generous with the posting, especially Ryan. Wolf, thanks for the levels this morning conversation and got me looking. So now I'm aware of all the levels. And a bunch of you came in and posted some levels to help the group. So we made money on the credit call spreads in the morning, the protective calls in the morning. And those of you who wrote puts made a ton. We traded Reddit puts, TSM puts, Netflix puts. And I'm drawing a blank on the rest. The earnings trade from overnight did not work, but I did warn everybody that AVGO moves big. There were two other earnings trades. I don't remember being very specific on any of them. So Lulu's falling. We discussed it. The report was good. The choice of words by the CEO and the CFO freaked the market out, which is the exact opposite situation on AVGO. The report was good. It wasn't awesome, but the wording of the CEO and the CFO were very well crafted to focus on the positives. And I think the market is celebrating them having an extra new client that can pay $10 billion. So it's no longer centered in two companies. So it wasn't awesome, but the reaction was pretty dang awesome. Palantir and CAT are still my focus to replace what the VIX is saying. The VIX is saying one thing and the market is saying something else. Our forecasts have been perfect. If you missed it or if you're watching on Twitter and you don't know what we're talking about, these white boxes have been the forecast for 3 weeks. 4 actually. The fourth one I didn't have it. And this is the most perfect market maker scenario I've ever seen, or I remember seeing. I'm probably seeing better. If I'm short the S&P, I would stay short. The 5-minute chart is bearish. They might still play these green arrows out. The risk appetite is still phenomenal, so respectables, please. Now it is back to being this one slightly bigger than the green one. So I'll just retreat that one. So these two arrows are still possible. But if you were nursing a put, and it just gives you back most of your money back, exit. Let's go. Give me some questions so I don't keep saying the same things. And I'll try to keep an eye. I won't try. I will definitely keep an eye on the options data. I won't let it. In fact, I'm buying a TV to use as a monitor in the next 2 weeks, I think, in order to make it even easier for me to see without so much eye strain. A 34-inch curved monitor is not enough. AVGO credit call spread. You can. You can. Sure. If you're short the QQQ, you shouldn't. It's about the same trade. I know you're having a good day today, but you weren't having a good morning earlier, so keep that in mind. The good times may not continue rolling. So a lot of my bearish positions today are paying me buckets, and some of them are not. Like I'm short Google and I have to deal with that. In fact, Google pays dividends soon. I don't know what kind of dividend Google pays, but I do have a sold call that's in the money. I don't want that. I want to move it out of the money. The ex-dividend day I have as 3 days away. Can anybody confirm? Let's see here. There used to be an ex-div day website. Dividend calendar. There we go. Maybe I can find it here. I'm in Palantir 0DTE call. Okay, thank you. June 9th. How about you tell me the next one? Why would a website that gives you dividend date information not tell you when the next dividend date is when it's imminent, like in 3 or 4 days? Can anyone help me out with the exact ex-div day? September 8th. Thank you, Jacqueline. September 8th. Okay, that matches up mine. So I will be moving that call today. Well, okay. So to answer your question on credit call spread on AVGO, if I take a trade for the options, I usually book it for the earnings. I usually book it at the earnings, and I walk away. But if it's at the money right now, I would roll it if I want to survive. Yes, three people have done that in the past, and I think yesterday somebody reached out that they finally Luis he got out of CrowdStrike, profit or flat. Faye did the same on, I forgot the other company. So it does work. You're just gonna have to roll it. Meta, the one if they were able to get out of a Meta bear call spread on earnings, you can do this one. Okay, it's a loss any which way you slice it, Maria. I don't understand. How much does it cost to roll? If it cost a lot of money, I wouldn't roll it. I took a bet on earnings and I lost. That's my take. I don't roll those. That's why I don't trade earnings that many times, especially when I know for a fact that they move a lot. I spent like 25 minutes explaining how dangerous it is to take a narrow range on AVGO. It has never had a narrow range. And the one time it went up, they were expecting 7%, it went up 24.4%. And when it goes down big. So it's always moving 7+%. If the roll doesn't cost a lot of money, yes, roll. Roll and sell a put spread. Okay, the low pressure system is 647 while we were talking. It's not that low. And 646 and 45 are strong backups. 648 is a hard line in the sand. So the bulls have changed the narrative a little bit here from the options. Willing transactors down here now more than ever. So if you're holding a call, you're getting what you want, but you don't have clear sailing yet. 547, 647, I apologize, is the low pressure system right now. And now we have levels. I put that orange line there because I thought it was visually a level I want to worry about. This is probably the one thing you're focused on, the underbelly of the drop, right? They should have held here. They sliced through it one time, tried to save it, and then did all of this. I wouldn't start calls here, is what I'm saying. If I have calls and I'm riding them, if I have 40% profits, I would get out at the risk of leaving another 40% on the table. The shape of the market is bearish still on the 5 minutes chart. 5 minutes is somewhat slow for us. These are 30-second charts. So 5 minutes could be 2 hours. I have the triangles where they are. Okay, now 646 is the low pressure system by a little bit. So they're wanting to be in this zone. I wonder if we can make this larger. Oh, heck yeah. Great. Announcement of what? Nobody knows. Sometimes they say what the topic is. 647. Low pressure system. Man, they're pretty active. They're trying to decide whether they want to rip through or not. There's still more sellers than buyers, but the buyers are trying to come in. These are options comments. The charts also say we should have a little fight here. There's the purple line, there's the orange hand drawn line, there's the red line, there's the other red line, and the other orange line. So this is a confluence of reasons to expect a fight from the charts. The magnet comments come from me interpreting the price action. Is Sam not here? Can someone go to the Discord and post me like an SPY algo flow and SPY GEX 0 DTE? If you can't do it, I'll go. It's not a problem. Golf buddies do. They do. They know. Oh, I was on duty to do something. Okay, I need to roll Google and not roll out. I need to roll it up. I need to roll it up out of trouble. If you have a sold call in Google and it's in the money, you need to roll it up to be above the money. I don't know what kind of dividend Google pays. I think it's one of the two tickers that pays something to catch it up or whatever, the non-voting, voting, whatever it is. Whoa, that is a mess. That says nothing. Holy moly. Okay, thank you. How about the algo flow? $647 is the magnet. And equal fight from 46 and 48. And the only differentiator is whatever is above 48 is much bigger than whatever is below 47. Sorry, 45 and 46. But it's growing. So that's how they make the switch. Very important few minutes here. And now the market is coordinated. So this is upper right hand corner. That's the mega caps, 7 stocks. So you break out, you come back, you establish a breakout. Normal price action. Somebody says, why are we falling? Because we broke out and we need to retrace lower. Same. These are the ETFs, 8 ETFs. Not as good as this breakout because the breakout was here. So now the likes of AVGO, will AVGO fall below? So Maria, if you're actively trading AVGO, if you fall below 330, your roll should be a credit. So you might want to babysit it. It's early enough in the day that you can do that. I would be in a put on higher time frame charts. Like I'm reaching target 2 on a 15-second chart. If I switch this to 15 seconds, you will see a bearish harmonic that just played out. You'll see it. Give it a minute. It should be right here. There it is. See that little W? It played out. Target 1, 2, 3 is 645.7. 645.4 ish. I'm eyeballing it. 646 is still the easy place to be. So they're tag teaming 46, 45, 47, 46, 45, 47, but they keep coming back to 46. I thought 646.50 was important yesterday. Am I remembering correctly? I think I am. That's why, and it also just coincides with the Fed head pivot point. That was a massive moment in time for the stock market when the Fed head panics and changes policy outside of a policy meeting, and the Fed backs him up with a statement about that when they had just had a meeting 3 weeks before it. So something happened in the next 3 weeks, and it may or may not be related. I'm hoping it's from his meeting with the president, and there was some chantage going on or something. It was like, you get to finish your building only if you get this done for me. Something. Because there's no way the data that they look at change so drastically in 3 weeks to where they panic and they change policy outside of a policy meeting. I mean, they have another meeting on the 17th. We have a Fed meeting on the 17th. So next week, we have a bunch of PPI, CPIs, which should be meaningless to the stock market because the Fed said, we're going to ignore these. $646 is where the least pressure is. 647 is the second least pressure. So we can go back up to 47. Let's see if we do. If not, if you're holding a put, these dips, you should exit out of your puts. Okay. Now there is a scenario that still points to to a new low of day, but that scenario got severely dinged up. Severely dinged up. You will need somebody losing their lunch even further. Like right now, Alphabet is still flying high because it's the anointing new king. I would love it. Much to my chagrin, that's my only source of redness today is because I'm short Alphabet. I wouldn't touch my short, but I need to raise it. The sold call, I need to get out of the money. Otherwise, I'm going to be assigned the short position and I'll owe somebody some dividends. That is not what I want. Palantir is bouncing hard. You said you took calls in Palantir. Whoever did you get out? Well, I don't know why you say all-time highs. They've been all-time highs for the last 3 weeks, probably. The breakout on gold. Well, the data today guaranteed us. Thanks. Yeah, that was you. The data today guaranteed us a rate cut. They guaranteed us a rate cut. And that's why the gold spiked, because a rate cut weakens the dollar. A central bank that is fiscally irresponsible trashes its own dollar, its own currency. And that's why the dollar falls. Now, there's no mathematical representation or relationship between the dollar and the price of things in the dollar over time. But over panic headlines, yes, it works that way. Because if the dollar is crashing, it makes it easy for things priced in dollars to rally. And gold was already in all-time high territory. It just spiked. It's unfortunate because I started a small bearish bet that doesn't cost anything out of pocket, so it may still play out. But I knew that I had risk going into today. I didn't think they would let the jobs number be negative. Could have been worse. Overall, the account is pretty green today, so I'm not complaining. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, there we go. Let's go. Let's go. 46 is the easiest place to be. 46. So there shouldn't be anything to this move. They're just joshing for position. Now they printed a head and shoulders. All by itself is not a reason to buy a put. It just gives you the measured move. All it says is that we might get this arrow after all. And if we do, just make sure to take advantage of it to fix your put if you bought a put. It's early enough in the day that you may get your money back on that put. Let's go. That's hilarious. I know what you meant. Selling a put on Lulu. No, I don't. I have zero confidence in this management's ability to communicate its path. And the reason why I don't, because all by itself, I would say yes. Um, the market cannot find a ceiling, and the stock cannot find a floor. What happens when the market hiccups? And believe it or not, this is the pandemic level, and it's down to like 127, 25, 28. And on top of that, um, before the pandemic hit, it skyrocketed. So it doesn't have a good base down to 75. So selling a put, no. Sell a put spread to start. And next week, you can turn it into a sold put naked. Okay, had to reach for an energy drink. 646 is the easy spot to be. 47 and 45 are equally as hard to be. So holding a call, holding a put, you're guessing right now. Now you can override that comment if you have a study that shows you a path. Share it with me and I'll tell you if it's doable based on the options data. It's become a little bit easier to pop the 47 than 45. So the calls, scalp them if you have them. Super fast comments. If you're trading slowly, let me know. Like AVGO, if it loses another low, it goes to 328. Maria, if that happens, exit your trade. That might get you an out with hardly a scratch. You're okay. You can still exit the one you rolled. Much to my chagrin, the only stinker that wouldn't drop is Google. Die, Mo Flicker, die. Yeah, they're not playing out easily, Corey. So there are put buyers down there. So the drops are not easy. I wouldn't hold a put with confidence short term. They're putting in a good buyer below. Where are my buyers? Where are my triangles? Okay, there they are. Did I switch time frames? I did. That's why. We went down to 15-second. We're kind of stuck. All the energy just fizzled. We did so well in the morning with regards to range. Like I'm sick and tired of the IWM's indecision. I really am. Either take your breakout or just go die like you usually do on the IWM. This messing around, pop and drop. You know, the range today for the RTY is you need a neck brace, a Hans device, and a few Dramamines in order to withstand it. It thinks it's trading like Tesla. Same with the XLF. Okay. The buyers and sellers are at even point. Now it's a little bit harder to get to 648 and 7. So they're ping ponging. They're going to give you that first arrow, exit the put if you were struggling with it and hating it. No, this is not C4. This is Pro Baller. Pro Baller. I'm sponsored by them. Hey, guys and girls, if you want an energy drink that doesn't make you jittery and it doesn't taste too sweet, just sweet enough, Pro Baller. I'd never heard of them until they showed up at my door. It does the job, but it's like it's an edge. No bang. I can't handle. I'm not allowed in my house. I would be like a toddler on candy. 646 is the easiest spot to be. 646, meaning it's not easy to get to 47 and it's not easy to get to 45, but it's easier to get to 45 than 47. So the sellers above are still overpowering the buyers below. Buying stock in ProBaller, I think it's private. ProBaller.com, I think it is. You don't have to tell them you sent me. They only gave me one case. It's not like I'm making thousands of it. So where we are is a Fibonacci level I mentioned earlier. Last night I tweeted 2 lines on the SPX. So after the market closed, after we said goodbyes in the live room, I looked at the chart and then I looked at the data and I said, what did they transact at the end of the day with regards to calls and puts for tomorrow? And they transacted exactly the top and the current price on the SPX, like to the penny. And they hit both. Okay, this is where they need to hold. 646 is still easier than 45, but they're closer in value than ever in the past 20 minutes. So the bulls are losing. They're playing with fire, I should say. It's still there. 46 is still where we want to be. But the fight is just temporarily back in the hands of the sellers. So the red triangle is definitely bigger than the green triangle, which it illustrates pressure. Willing sellers. If you get to the eye, there's a bunch of people that would sell. If you get to the green, there's a bunch of people that will buy. That's so resistance and supports. Okay, it's a little bit more even now at the $1. I wouldn't hold a call with confidence. I wouldn't hold a put with confidence unless that's based on the options. Unless you have a chart reason to hold a call or a put. Tell me what it is. I told you mine, bearish, and I'll tell you what the likelihood it is to unfold in the next minute or not. By next week, maybe next week or the week after, in the next few days, I will try to develop a, a way I'm able to track the IWM for you. Are you actively trading the IWM? I'll give you the same comments. IWM, easiest to be at 237. Not easy 238. Not easy 236. The buyers are bigger than the sellers, so I would not hold a put in the IWM for today. Although, seeing the elasticity of today's range, anything is possible. I I don't know what that means. It means don't do anything. Suki. Andrew, what did you delete? I will be out Monday. I will not be in a live room Monday. I will be opening the room, but I'm going to hand it over to a couple people. Mert Climber volunteered, and Gint volunteered. Chicago. Anybody else that thinks they want to take over for a little bit? Oh. Okay. It's got a weird name, Pro Baller. I don't like the name at all. But I'm probably not the target audience. $46 is still the easy spot to be. $6.46. $6.46. Magnet. Holding puts okay. IWM. No, it's just too crazy. This me being out Monday really puts a wrench in things, but I can't avoid it. I have to be. You too. Hopefully you feel better. Okay, people out in YouTube land. I haven't looked at YouTube. Sorry about that. Join the group. You've been watching forever. Do it, do it, do it, do it. People on Twitter, join the group. Luckily, it doesn't cost $1 million to join, and you can cancel after the first month. What are you waiting for? Yeah, the algo flow is a bit red. Okay, so we have a possible change. Possible change. The magnet is now, it's equally as easy. Nope, never mind. They changed their mind right away. For a second, they thought about switching from 646 to 45. So it's still easiest to be at 646. Oh man, that was like for a second. I wonder if that's a turning point. In case you're watching on YouTube or X and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we have a proprietary way of looking at options. It tells us where is the easiest price to stay. It has never failed. It has never failed since we started it. And right now it says 646 is chill. We can be there. Getting to 647 is going to be a hassle. It's going to be just as much of a hassle to get to 45. So now we have equal push pull. It precludes us from holding a call with confidence or put with confidence. But that's not an entire trading system. This is a complementary system that supports your call or your put. Now, some people are trading calls and puts for different reasons. You see a wolf wave that tells you to hold a put, you hold a put, and then you take this information from the options to adjust it. For example, this morning, price was at the highs. We dipped a little. Somebody jumped in and said, expect a dip. So I said, I wouldn't buy a call based on this options information. And they listened. So they stopped from buying a call. And then you saw what happened. The market tumbled. And conversely, somebody was holding a put. And I said, okay, you have reasons to hold a put. Got paid out. Somebody said, do I want to sell a credit put spread? Then this information could help you say yes or no to that. So now it's a little bit easier to get to 47 than 45. So 646 is still the easiest place to be. But now it's easier to get to 647 than 45. So earlier I said maybe that was a turning point. So keep that comment in mind. And look at where it's happening, right at the purple line. This purple line, I'm going to make it thicker. This is the comment line from Powell. I can't make it thicker. That's as big as it gets. So the market knows where it's fighting. Up here on the upper right, this is all the all the mega caps, the 7 largest companies. Bottom, middle box on the right, this is 8 ETFs. We have the XLF, XLY, XLI, V, C, P, B, E. I don't put XLK, so not to infuse more single stock risk. Like XLK would be heavily influenced by one or two companies. This is the idea of showing the market minus the mega caps. So between these two top boxes, we pretty much have 60% of the SPY covered. And then down here, we usually put something else we're watching. AVGO is the story today. So you want to see what the hell is going on with it. Okay, as far as developments today, we haven't had anything new develop. We have had a negative number on the jobs number, but just slightly so. So it's just a wake up call. Hey, things might be going south, which is exactly what the Fed needs. They need a small red number in order to give them the free reign of cutting rates without panic, although they already panicked. And it wasn't too bad to spook the market, but somehow they sold it. They rallied and they sold the rally. Okay, it is now easier to maybe be at 647. So that's the options. But then this red W says, but maybe we dip one more time to 645.60. Yep, they changed their mind back to 646. Maybe it's a turning point. Like I said, it's the same one. I definitely need a more efficient way to monitor this. Back to 47. And so 46 and 48 are push pull above 47. So they leveled up $1. The red W is not broken. Okay. So this orange line I used earlier to monitor a bearish setup. So I'm going to move it to monitor another bearish setup. So that tiny red W you see here hasn't been really confirmed. If you see a tiny circle show up here, that kind of looks like this, it's kind of confirmed. But it says maybe we do this, and on the offs and longer shot we do that. That's what that suggests, that red W. But if we go above this orange line, no, that whole red W is broken. Those are called harmonics. Real quick lesson, they come in two shapes, W's and M's. The idea is there are 7 of them, plus 1, and they have specific relationships between these points. And the software monitors these relationships, and whenever it sees one of those 7, it says, "Oh, there's a shark." And the trade is to retrace 1, maybe 2. And the off chance we're lucky, we get 3. Somewhere around here, I'm eyeballing it. Okay. So at 15-second charts, don't count on 3. Count on 1, scalp, leave runners if you want to 2, maybe. But if we go above the orange, it says forget about it. It's broken. Okay, options. 647 is still the easy mark to be. 48 and 46 are support and resistance immediately. But the point is, are we bottoming? So we had a huge drop from the top. And is this the bottom? Or are we going to lose the bottom and make a flush low? Like a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute bearish harmonic that says, yes, that's what's going to happen. We'll see if they let that happen. And then the logic says a drop this sharp from this morning's highs should result in a pop. And this is not it. The pop should go to 650. We have a bunch of puts buried all the way to 650, but call buyers have been doing themselves a disfavor. On the way down, people continue to buy calls and they lose, and they buy calls and they lose, and they buy calls and they lose. So even though the put sellers are losing, the market makers that sold the puts that are now buried, they've participated in all of those lost calls along the way. So if you do the math, the money they made from the lost calls offsets the money they lost on the sold puts. You understand this concept? What's the password to the live room today? Okay. Back to 46, the magnet. They are uncommitted on the upside because here's my take. If I'm a market maker selling all the calls and puts today, thanks for the help there. If I sold puts in the morning, I lost money on them. If I made money on the calls I sold so far on the way down, people buying calls and losing, buying calls and losing, and those two offset each other. So I'm having an okay day because the week was perfect. I showed you already on the SPX, right? So the same market makers are selling the whole week as well from Monday, Tuesday. I have to take this, I think. Woohoo! I had a toy on order. It came in. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. So if I was the seller of all of these calls and puts and now I'm even, I want two outcomes. One, stay here and do nothing, finish the day. Two, if we get a bounce, I would want it to be kick ass, to do the opposite of what I did on the way down here. It's not going to be an easy bounce, is what I'm saying. Not with the makeup that I have right now. I don't think we can get back to 651, is what I'm saying. With this makeup, it might change. So I'll keep us up to date. Now we have a potential pattern. So don't confuse studies and patterns. If you're holding a call, you're saying, "Oh, I see a cup and handle." Okay, but you also see an inverse cup and handle. So the bulls need to break out of 647 to get to 648, and now you have a measured move for that. Don't trade patterns, trade studies. 646 is still the magnet. 647 resistance is smaller than 645 support. So the bulls have the advantage if they want it. 645 support is a little bit better than 647 resistance, but neither is easy. The easiest thing is to stay at 46 plus or minus 50 cents. which means calls or puts are being burned. It is 9:20 a.m. my time, California, which means it's early enough. With 1/3 of the day left, the theta burn accelerates at a very impressive pace. In other words, don't overstay your welcome in a winning trade or waiting for something to play out. Vincent, are you here? You made it back? Yes, look at you opening it. So, what Josh is saying, if you have a thesis, hey, welcome back. Woo, we're getting the band back together. Okay, so those of you who are watching outside, we have an in-person event in Los Angeles in October. Sign up at simplestocks.com. Go there. There's a tab for events. And but reach out. Actually, don't sign up. Reach out to me or to help. Reach out to me at nick@simplestocks.com, NIC, no K, NIC at simplestocks.com. And email me your interest in it for a couple of reasons. I want to make sure you have the right tools to absorb the information. So what Josh is pointing out is if I have a scenario that says we're going to get to a certain level, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're going to get there, using the futures to get that done is easy. Theta doesn't negatively affect you as much, not at all, actually. So that came into fruition last week, or maybe earlier this week. We had a bearish setup, and I said I would sell the ES contract right here, and you have up to 12 points of downside, maybe a lot more. It paid a fortune for somebody that traded it into the market close after hours, before you had dinner or after you had dinner, and you babied it. You made, I forgot what it was, $1,500 per contract. It was well worth it. But if you took the same setup with puts, you died. You did not make a penny. You lost your money. That's what he's saying. The time gets out of there. Also, you need to know futures in order to act after hours to defend your account or manage your profits. Let's say you bought calls and the market soared after hours for an event that happens after hours, and you want to lock your profits and you can't until the market opens. You log in and you short the market. And let's say you're long the market Sunday night, some bank fails, and we go, oh, we have a banking failures, and the market is falling, and you're losing thousands if you're holding calls. You log in and you short the market. So then by the time the market opens, you have thousands to offset the thousands you lost on your calls. Get to know the futures. It is a very fun way of making a living. 646 is where we want to be, period, end the story. Sellers above, buyers below, almost about the same size. Last week, I think it was Friday, we stayed in a very tight range like this all afternoon. I sure hope we don't have to do it today, because that will be a boring day. But we had a pretty exciting morning, so go sign up. Pronto. Family. Okay, there's a pile of interest at 645, like a mountain of interest. Gamma update on SPX, please. Maybe the SPX is telling us something. Silver is underperforming gold. I told you it might be an easier short than gold. We had part of this conversation yesterday. 648. Okay, so it got a little better. It says we have a problem at 647, but if they can get above 647, they can get to 48. What about the SPX, Sam? EV Mux was okay. Algo flow negative. Oh, that's pretty seriously negative. No, never mind. I misread it. I thought it was 20. 646, easiest spot to be. Equal support and resistance above it and below it. The magnet is still in full effect. I'll move it out of the way a little bit. In about an hour, I have to write up something that tells people that are not here what happened today. I'm not so sure how to word it without sounding confused. So I'm going to spend some time to develop a 3-sentence summary and say, don't do anything today. There's no need to do anything today. Also, I will don't forget, members, we will meet on Sunday morning to review tickers. And I'll give you the form here because I know some of you don't check emails. You should. If you read my emails this week, you made money, extra money. I have to say that the write-ups have become less biased. There's no bias in the write-ups. I don't want to put my bias onto you. And simpler, fewer words, fewer lines, more actionable. So if you haven't read them because you didn't like the word before, restart. You might change your mind. Okay, here's the link in the live. If you're watching from Twitter or YouTube, I'm talking to 160 people here in the room. You don't see them, but they're here. You can get to meet them. We're going to New York to have lunch. Is it lunch or dinner? I don't even know. I RSVP'd, but I don't even remember what time it was. Next week, the 13th. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I found out about it, and I just literally booked my tickets 2 days ago. And it was like trading stocks. I kid you not. I told you guys, it was a fun environment to book a ticket. Price went up twice. I sent in the order, and the bid ask changed as I sent in the order. That's never happened to me. I sent in fare no longer available. What? I go back. Okay, that's the new fare. I send it again. Fare no longer available. What? I go back. I send the order again. $200 more in 30 seconds. That was funny. It's lunch, 1 p.m. Manipulation. The market maker was in charge. Listen, this is the trader mindset of mine. What did I do when that happened? I rushed to the chart of CL. Is there a spike in oil? Are we having some war tweets? What's going on? Why is my plane ticket rising so quickly suddenly? That was my knee jerk reaction. Let me check oil futures to see when I'm going to book my ticket. Oh my God. Do we live, breathe trading? Yes, we do. It's not going to matter. Here's what I found out. If you fly one airline and you book expensive tickets, in the long run, you would be paying maybe 20% more than we would otherwise trade, and we would be flying first class all the time. Do the math. I did the math. Like with JetBlue, once you become Mosaic, holy crap. You book the cheapest ticket possible, they give you double upgrades, and you will get a seat as big as first class on United or for $200, coast to coast. And checked luggage free and all of that. But you have to spend money up front. So if you fly Mint a couple of times, it's thousands of dollars. But then you're in like Flynn. And you also get points, and their points are usable. Unfortunately, they don't fly everywhere. I get to use them when I go to New York and Florida. We have a situation with the STX chart. If you're watching STX, stock that is not helping me make money, look at the setup. They want to break out. Really? Or is it break down? Is there a cheap put in STX for today? Someone scope it out. I don't have enough windows open. I mean, available. 6 monitors, 9 monitors, and I'm running out of windows. STX. 185 put is how much? $37. It's not easy to fall through 185, but it's not impossible. So a small dip towards maybe buy a put there. Do all for a credit put spread. What's your time frame on that? Let me keep an eye on the market. 646 is still the easy spot, but now a lot easier to fall than the rally. So the bears are losing. The bears are winning. So are taking the edge back. So this one is still below, but shrunk considerably. Considerably. In fact, 646 now is a repellent. If they don't recover 646, it is now just as easy to be at 645 and a half. No longer 646, and it may start becoming a problem. So now the bulls need a pop ASAP. Longer time frame. Okay, good. Duolingo, right? Is this to learn languages? So I have to tell you that business model may be in danger with AI being so cheap. So I pay for AI. I made one app that took me just I literally told it, help me converse in Spanish. I can understand well. I can't speak well. So give me sentences to translate to Spanish, and or say, if I converse with you, just start a conversation. Why would I need to pay Dual for any of that? I'm just saying. Credit put spread, it works better than calls. Make sure you give them room to get to 200 or lower if you're going longer term. So if you're looking to sell a put naked, start with a sold put spread. And exit, make sure it expires before the next earnings, which should be. So you can take an October credit put spread. They report late November, but you don't want to get caught. So Early November. So October is the latest. Make sure there's at least a week, maybe two if you can, before the earnings. Some companies pre-announce, and that will bite you. I don't mind that. The credit put spread on Dual. If you come up with one, let me know. I will share it. 645 is the easiest spot to be. You see, the bulls are losing a step. Now there is a green M, which suggests a bounce back to the purple. I don't think it can have more runway. It's easier to get to 44 than it is to 46. So this magnet is here-ish. There is an open fair value gap down to the tip of that arrow or lower. So earlier I mentioned the put. I don't know if you're still in it or not. Use this dip to fix that trade. And what you should do is you should enter an order to exit already because it might be a flash and a bounce. So we got this arrow finally. Took a minute. Unfortunately, um, I don't know if you can hear in the background. One of my crackhead dogs is chewing on something, like his life depended on it. You hear it? Okay. Um, if you're in calls, use this bounce to exit your calls. I don't think the rebound's going to be easy past 646 and 47. So just monitor the expectations. 645 is still the easiest spot to be, but not much different from 46. So I think they're fighting for where they want to be right now. Okay, so now if you look at higher time frames, you can argue for a bounce, but the higher time frame says lower, like 643 or lower is possible. Now, if we get to 643, I don't know how this market will psychologically handle that. So Dual does not have a lot of action. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, skip it. Yeah, that's not going to be a pretty trade. So Nvidia was the first stinker today. It was the first to sound the alarm. And then AMD followed. Oof, that was painful on AMD. But I did warn you that it's falling into an area that needed to hold. The XLF, which is music to my ears, is losing its footing. The market cannot rally, I don't think, without the XLF. Or I'll rephrase it. The XLF has been a pretty strong contributor to the rally. The last thing the bulls need is to lose it. Now, it's far from it, mind you. It's still way up there. Here's a weekly chart on the XLF. Here's a daily chart. One red tick doesn't make a change, right? Isn't that what we speak? Yes. So let's put the IWM last 3 minutes at a time. I'm trying to give us an edge. We're watching charts, we're watching options like hawks. Nobody, I say it convincingly, I have never seen anybody have input like we have that tie charting and options together. If you're actively trading the SPY, you are 1000% stronger to be in this group than you're not. I say this with complete, I've never been this confident in my entire life as far as point to point. And we have data to back it up. That is a source of pride for this group. You can pat yourselves on the back because all the questions that you pose here help us get answers. And one of those led me down a path to get an answer that is reusable. That was a happy day, fruitful day. 646. Back to the purple line. Strong buyers below at 45, strong sellers at 47. The bulls have a trigger. If they can get to 47, they can get to 48.50. Chart comment. Let's see if the options open the door for it. They've tried twice. Versus losing the happy face might finish the second green arrow. Not easy either. They have tried just now, and they're pushing back up. Let's see if I can get some more clues from the XSP. The XSP says it's much harder to climb than to fall, and it's an easier statement, but it doesn't add to our intelligence. We already know that. The QQQ says we're happy staying here. We don't have any other clues. Let's see if the IWM gives me something now. 28,500. Okay, for the IWM, it's easier to drift higher than lower, but it's not easy to go in either direction. It's got a good balance point right here. The RUT says kind of the opposite. So I don't have any information to help us with the IWM. It's inconsistent. And it has had a very wild day. Look at it. Super spike, super drop, and it's right back in the middle. It is not a bearish day for the IWM. It is literally green. So now CNBC can say we have a mixed market and the QQQ is flattish. So if we have a close like the last 3 days, you remember the 3 close? Monster rally back. Well, given this option scenario, there's no way we do it today. That would have to change. So I'll make sure to keep me on point watching for that. 646 is the easy spot to be. I sound like a broken record, but that's what it is. All right, we're going to say goodbye to Twitter. I think we got a sign up from Twitter today. Woo! Thank you. Or X. And YouTube.